Hey, what's up, guys? Welcome to the channel. We have some unfortunate breaking news. Charles Oliveira misses weight for his UFC 274 lightweight title defense against Justin Gaethje, and what an absolute debacle. And I wanted to make a video because there is so much to unpack here. People have been messaging me, asking my thoughts on this situation, and with such a big news story, I had to make this video because literally there's so many different angles to unpack with this story. One, what happens now? 2, what happens after UFC 274? 3, there's some conspiracy theories. 4, there is a nightmare scenario that could come out of this entire situation now that Charles Oliveira is technically no longer the lightweight champion. So first off, Charles Oliveira, he had till 2 p.m. Eastern time to weigh in at 155 pounds. There is no 1 pound allowance for title fights. We'll talk about that a little bit later. He came out right at the deadline. He missed weight by 0.5 pounds. When you miss weight, you have an hour to then cut that weight. So he got an extra hour. He came back out. He still missed weight again. So now what's going to happen is we're still going to get Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje, because I was scared the UFC might cancel this fight. They might take Charles Oliveira out of the fight and put Chandler or Ferguson in there, but we are still getting Charles Oliveira versus Justin Gaethje, which I am very happy about. But what happens now is Charles Oliveira is now stripped of the lightweight belt, so he's no longer champion. There's a vacant lightweight title, and tomorrow at UFC 274, if Justin Gaethje is able to defeat Charles Oliveira, he will be the lightweight champion. But if Charles Oliveira defeats Justin Gaethje, there will still be a vacant belt at 155 pounds. Charles Oliveira, if he wins tomorrow, will not leave as the UFC lightweight champion. So at least we still got the fight. I'm super hyped for this fight regardless. The title, I get it that it adds something to the fight, but for me, it's about watching two world-class elite athletes fight it out and see who's the better fighter. And it's not like Oliveira missed by 10 pounds. So it's not like, okay, there's an asterisk next to this fight. You know, we get to see who's the better fighter. Charles Oliveira has, if anything, a disadvantage rather than advantage over Justin Gaethje because he's been cutting weight, had a hard weight cut. It's not like he came in, he was 10 pounds over, and now he's getting an advantage weight-wise against Justin Gaethje. So I'm still happy this fight's on. So what happens after UFC 274 now that all this stuff has gone down? Well, if Charles Oliveira wins, supposedly, this is according to the UFC, and I believe this will most likely happen if my nightmare scenario does not come true. If Charles Oliveira wins, he will most likely fight Islam Makhachev for the vacant lightweight title. That's what I believe will happen if Charles Oliveira wins. He goes into that fight. He's not the champion. Neither is Islam. They will fight over the vacant belt. If Justin Gaethje wins, he will now become the lightweight champion, and I believe most likely he will defend his lightweight belt against Islam Makhachev. I think that's what happens depending on who wins. Obviously, I think either one of these fighters is going to be fighting Islam Makhachev next. That's kind of up in there because there's been talk from the UFC about, potentially having Islam fight Beneil, but Beneil's not going to be ready till fall, so I don't think that's going to happen. I think most likely the winner of this fight, regardless if they're champ or not, the next fight will be against Islam Makhachev for the lightweight title, whether it's Gaethje defending or Charles Oliveira fighting Islam for the vacant belt. So my thoughts on this entire situation is I just think it's really stupid. Honestly, I hate fighters that miss weight. But in my opinion, and I get that it's a title fight, I believe for all fights, whether it's a title fight or a non-title fight, there should be a 1 pound allowance. There's some discrepancies with scales, and it's hard to hit an exact weight. I truly believe in it. I don't think anyone would disagree with me. Comment down below if you do disagree with me. I just think all fights, whether it be a title fight or a non-title fight, every fighter should get a 1 pound allowance. It really doesn't matter. What does that 1 pound matter? Just because Charles Oliveira came in 0.5 over, it's not like he's going to have an advantage over Justin Gaethje. And what I believe they should have done, since they don't have that rule in effect, obviously you have to follow the rules. That is not the current rule. What I believe the UFC should have done in this situation is just find Charles Oliveira. Maybe tomorrow just don't wrap the belt around him if he does win, but he's still the champion. Because essentially now you have a weird situation where if Charles Oliveira wins tomorrow, he's the champion everywhere but on the UFC's website. I mean, all the fans are still going to consider him a champion. The UFC is going to still treat him as a champion as far as his next fight booking because he's going to be fighting for the belt, whether it's a vacant belt or not. If they were to keep him as the champion, he'd be defending anyway. So it really doesn't make a lot of sense to me to strip him. He's going to be the champion in everyone's minds, the UFC's, the fans, the media, outside of the UFC's website. So it really doesn't matter that they actually stripped him because everyone's going to consider him the champion anyway. So the one place that it does actually matter is, and this is kind of when you get into a little bit of a conspiracy, the UFC has to pay him less now. I believe that he's not champion. He will not get pay-per-view points for his next fight. So for example, when Petr Yan lost his belt via DQ, his next fight, he wasn't getting pay-per-view points because he wasn't going into that fight as a champion. Now, obviously, everyone has a different contract, but I think that the UFC is now going to save money on Charles Oliveira in his next fight. If he does in fact win and then fight Islam Makhachev, they will probably not have to pay him pay-per-view points or pay him as much because he's not champion. Another thing I wanted to touch on is there's been a lot of talk from media and other fighters on the card that there were some scale discrepancies. Apparently there is a scale before you actually get to the official scale. They always have that in the back room. They won't even let you go out and weigh in officially before you step on the check-in scale. And that scale showed Charles Oliveira as on weight. And that's why he was confused when he went up there to weigh in and he was not on weight. He was shocked when he was off by 0.5 because he stepped on the digital scale in the back room and then he came out to the little slider scale, I guess you would call it, and now he missed weight, which is, I'll never understand in some places why they use the slider scale. Why should it not be a digital scale? That is ridiculous. And also, it's actually sad because if Charles Oliveira thought he was on weight, then went out there, he stopped cutting weight, and then now he's off weight, and now he has to go back and try to restart cutting weight. The body doesn't work like that, and it's going to be hard to get that weight cut back. And I know a lot of people say 0.5 pounds, but it's difficult. He's been sweating, cutting weight. Now he's stopped. He's kind of cooled down a little bit, gone out to the official weigh-in. Now he's off. He's got an hour to cut weight. It's not as easy as it sounds. And I know some people are going to talk about, and I don't think this is necessarily the scenario, but I wanted to talk about it a little bit, was that, this isn't Justin Gaethje's home state. And there's probably going to be some talk about, oh, was this rigged against Charles Oliveira? I don't believe that to be true. But that is an interesting side note to this entire story because it is Justin Gaethje's home state. And it was, one of those guys. Sometimes they come out, they jump on the slider scale. The person's like 155. They move it out of the way. This guy was waiting for a minute or two to see exactly where that little thing fell. And it was just kind of, a weird scenario. And now we have this whole entire lightweight division debacle without, just over 0.5 of a pound. And now you have a scenario where you have Charles Oliveira, who's went out there, defended his lightweight belt against Dustin Poirier. Now, if he beats Justin Gaethje, this doesn't even count as a title defense. And then let's say he fights Islam Makhachev next and beats Islam Makhachev just for the sake of hypotheticals. Now he will have, 3 title defenses, and he will have actually no title. He'll only have 1 title defense technically count it because it will only be the one counted against Dustin Poirier. So it's just a terrible situation for Charles Oliveira. He definitely loses money out of this, and I get it. He should have made weight. It's his job to make weight. But 0.5 of a pound, I really believe that the UFC should have a 1 pound allowance for every fight. Let me know what you think in the comments. Another thing I wanted to mention before I go, nightmare scenario for the lightweight division. And I hate to even speak this into his existence. But does this open the door for somehow Conor McGregor to get a title shot? Oh my goodness, I could see it happening already. I can totally see it happening already. Dana White saying, well, Conor McGregor, he's done everything we've ever asked of him. He's 2 division weight champion. He's so popular and he sells so many pay-per-views. The fans want to see it. The media wants to see it. Charles Oliveira or whoever else, Islam Makhachev. Imagine the UFC after this fight. Let's say Charles Oliveira wins. They say, you know what? Oliveira missed weight, so he was unprofessional. So now for the vacant belt, we're going to book Conor McGregor versus Islam Makhachev. First off, that would be a mega fight for the UFC, and they could slide Conor into a lightweight title shot. Or they could say, okay, let's say Michael Chandler beats Tony Ferguson. They could do Conor McGregor versus Michael Chandler for the vacant lightweight belt. Or even imagine this. Imagine they do put Charles Oliveira in the next lightweight title shot. Imagine Chandler goes out there, gets an impressive win over Tony Ferguson. We could potentially see Charles Oliveira versus Michael Chandler 2 for the vacant lightweight belt. That'd be insane. 2 times they would have fought for a vacant belt, which would be absolutely insane. But we'll find out all what happens on Saturday. Can Charles Oliveira win this fight? And then he's still not going to be the champion. I think they should have just kept the belt on him, find him more, maybe not wrap the belt around his waist on Saturday. But it's just dumb. He is still the champion in everyone else's minds. The only place he's not a champion is on the UFC's website. So let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to like the video, and thank you so much for watching.